Hello, it's January 20th, 5:49 p.m. So I wanted to do a couple things. First off, day's been great. Work from home, so just chugging away at my ongoing work, but I finished not too long ago. Not a phenomenal day in terms of what to eat, because I woke up, I was lazy, I didn't eat, and I managed to fit 2 meals in, but we're at 5:50 and I'm only 2 meals in. That's okay because a few more hours to make up for it. That said, here we go. So I wanted to make this specific video, which is budgeting. Um, no, I think that the reason that I want to make this is because it's very fascinating to me. Not really because, like, oh, I need to do it. Well, part of the reason is, yeah, I probably should, but also, I think more than many, I want to know how it works and I don't know what the pros that come along with it are. That being said, here is my mini presentation on budgeting. So, I would like to budget. Pretty straightforward. I would like to budget very hard and aggressively at that. But I also want to make it sustainable. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to be homeless for a month and not pay rent. While that's, potentially maybe good, like maybe I could just bum off a friend, it is not sustainable. Um, there's a difference between finding a pretty cheap place for rent and putting myself on the verge of not knowing. Um, that's the main thing there, and that kind of brings me to risks. So the risks that come with it, I mean, I'm sure I can identify more, but at least these are the ones that I put down. It's not necessarily living life to its fullest. What's in it for you? You as in me. So what's in it for me? Also, I realize I put in twice. Uh, this is kind of tied to the first thing, but you could die tomorrow. Why not spend your money? So they're all valid questions. However, my main point is that it it's fun. I don't see it as a way of limiting myself, but more just getting the most out of the resources that I put in. I'm sure that goes to an extent, like with that example of renting versus, I guess, bobbing off somebody. Um, I'm sure that I'm not justifying it enough, but I will use examples because it is more like a self-imposed challenge. Um, so, what is fire? I realize I can't do transitions for the life of me. So my last point is already up there. But it is financial independence, retire early. That sounds great. Um, but how? Well, earn more, spend less, use the difference pretty wisely. Uh, which kind of brings me on to this: what to do with the money. And I guess the most basic thing, or most high level thing is, invest for your future and build financial independence. That sounds very easy, which is great because that's my last line. It sounds good, but how can I save? How can I achieve this? What kind of actionable steps can I really take to, I guess, set myself up for this? So I've kind of did a little bit of researching. All roads point to you need to start budgeting. Um, and this is the same conclusion that I came to about a year and a half ago. Uh, if not even more than that. But this is my only recordable or trackable spreadsheet that I can find. So just to put it into plain words, tracking my monthly spending and my earnings, which brings us to December 24. Um, I'm gonna go back 1 month, mainly because if I go back 2 months, yeah, it has its benefits, but also I don't remember why I bought stuff and for what reason. Even with December, I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't really know specifically because of the way that I budget things. It's not super detailed, and I also don't want it to be because it's like it's a ton of transactions during the during the month, and I don't think I'm going to use it. Either way, we'll go to our income. So I'm not gonna show the numbers, but you can see the percentages. So within the month of December, I think most of it came from work, rightfully so. The other from tax benefits, and the other just from like going out with some friends, and I pay for the meal or I pay for some sort of activity. So that should also be about, I think, like 14-ish%. 14 to 13%. Maybe my math is wrong there, but yeah, if you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Most of it's work. I won't go into the quantities, but it kind of outlines my regular monthly, I guess, split uh, within the pie. And here's where it gets interesting. This is my expenses for the month. So I think with this one, what's interesting, I mean, my eyes get diverted to the left side as opposed to the right because the right is just kind of constant. So gone, I've gotten used to going numb to that. It's just kind of a fixed expense. Um, but it's a good thing that my rent took up, 60% of my expenses. And when also considering that I went camping, winter camping, which is a pretty cheap in province activity that you can do, is relatively cheap. Not to mention the gifts pretty much costed as much for camping, and I did not spend that much for gifts. Um, Surprisingly, this leisure, I think I can actually remember it. I went rock climbing with my brother, and this was the cost for rentals uh, and a day pass, which is very expensive. But that also puts into perspective the transit and the food, which I might get, which I might say is my biggest non-negotiable slice. When you go to here, I can't lower rent, at least reliably. Leisure, I'm sure I can cut that out. I'm sure most months I'll cut that out, but because it's December, live a little. Camping, same thing, live a little. Gifts, same thing, it's December. Food, however, I think can be cut down. Transit, same thing. I can't really move that around. I might be able to take the redundance out of some things, make the leg shorter than it is, but most of the times it's just going to vary between plus or minus 0.5%. So it's a non-negotiable slice. Uh, I want to reduce that. Food accounted for about 20% of my budget, which you can just see. But that amounted to about $175, which is pretty good. Food, when I consider food, I'm talking about both groceries and eating out. So this is a relatively good price. The thing that I guess is a blessing and a curse is that I like cooking. So I guess relatively, if you only cook at home and you don't eat out most of the time, your number is more likely than not going to be lower than mine here. Uh, and even when I don't factor in the eating out portion, it's not gonna change this too much, and it's not gonna change your standing, because chances are yours is lower than mine. Seeing my girlfriend accounted for about $60, which is honestly a pretty good deal to me, considering the distance that I traveled, and also $60 to see your girlfriend isn't bad at all. Um, there are a lot of people who are like long distance and they need to take a plane, and that instantly just saved me like, I'll say like $400, $500 off of one trip alone. Um, and I think this was on like 2 or 3 occasions, uh, which totaled to maybe about a week, just shy of a week. So, where can I improve? Where can I cut down? So, less eating out. In this screen cap that I put on the right is pretty much the highlighted things are the places that I eat out. Coffee, Wendy's, Chinese place, LCBO. I'm gonna put this as eating out, even though it's mainly liquor. I don't even like liquor. I think I'm through with it. Wendy's, as you can see, I like Wendy's. Um, but that alone, eating out accounted for $60. Uh, Same thing, yeah. It's not super crazy, but when you think about it, it's pretty much my transit cost, which is like, I could cut down on that. And that also implies that I could see my girlfriend just as many times. Or sorry, twice as many times. Which is pretty crazy to put into perspective. I think it may seem blatant. Okay, you explicitly said that you would be very hard on yourself for budgeting. This is also in the perspective. Uh, isn't this a little bit too far? So, my response to that is it's a little hard to say without giving you the context as to why I think these changes are more guidelines rather than rules. I mean, guidelines are kind of rules, but also it's more of like, feel free to do what you want, but I would like to save this amount of money. Much of these choices that I made are not because I wanted to enjoy myself for once, or anything like that. With exception, some of the trips to Wendy's were a little bit like that because I had just finished exams and I got really lazy. But also the fact that I got lazy isn't good, and it's why I think I can cut down on them. And in terms of being lazy, I mean, I had food at home and I just chose not to eat it. And it's good food too. It's not like rice and hot sauce in a bowl and then like shredded up chicken, which honestly doesn't sound that bad. But no, I had actual food and I chose to stick to Wendy's. Rightfully so. If it was cheaper, I would do that. But that brings me to my final and last slide, which is to rejoice. It is the end of the month. The final conclusion is that decent amount of spending on food. Um, I did some traveling within the province, and that's mainly for the camping. I kept most costs down to a wire. I'm not gonna lie, I veered off the tracks a little bit towards the end just because it was holiday season. I'm not in school, hanging out with friends, things like that. But the total for the month, it's slightly down from being positive, but only by a few $100s, which is honestly considerably good, um, because I barely worked for the month. And if it were almost any other month, it should be in the green. Um, and I think it might be funny that I am fussing over such a small amount, but also I'm just doing it because it's fun. I guess I'm not looking. I am looking to do it kind of aggressively, but also I'm not expecting huge rewards from this. Um, I think it's just a way for me to actually uh, use my sheet somewhere. Um, but yeah, that's uh, that's my entire month summed up. And so I'm going to run to the gym. I think my phone is cold, or I think my phone is charged. Um, so yeah, I might run to the gym. I gotta wake up early for work tomorrow. Not because I'm going in. I just want to get some work done. Um, yeah, that's all. All right. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I think we're gonna do another one, maybe on the first. Yeah, yeah. Why not? Maybe I'll do it on the first. I think it was pretty cool to make a PowerPoint. I think things make more sense as a PowerPoint, and it helps the flow of things. Everything is written out. But again, we'll see. Okay, see ya.